Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar, Cloud Accounting, How Cloud Accounting Can Save Money for Self-Employed. My name is Uri Bar Joseph. I'm the COO of Formations, and I will be your moderator today. We have a great webinar planned, but before we start, a few housekeeping notes. First, this webinar is being recorded. A link to the recording will be sent to you by tomorrow alongside the presentation and a link to a blog post where we will answer some of the questions that will come up during the webinar today. We have a special offer for our webinar attendees that we will mention later on in the webinar, and I will mention it again at the end of the webinar. So stay tuned for our special offer for attendees. We have people managing the chat and the Q&A module, so please feel free to use those to submit technical questions or questions for the panelists, the speakers. If you would like to ask a question about to one of the panelists, to one of the speakers, we ask that you use the Q&A module that is designed for those questions. If you have a technical question, you can use the chat, but please use, for the most part, the Q&A module. At the end of the presentation, we will open the webinar for a Q&A, for an open Q&A. You can submit your questions at any point during the webinar, and we will do our best to answer all of them at the end. If we see questions that come in that are relevant at any point of the presentation, we might stop and take those and answer those on the spot, but for the most part, we will try to answer all the questions at the end. If we can't get to all the questions, we will also post the answers on our blog. After the webinar, you will be sent to a short survey about the webinar. We would love to get your feedback so we can improve our webinars in the future. Today, we will cover how cloud accounting can help save money for self-employed. We're going to start with a short poll that I will launch in a minute. We're going to talk a little bit about what is cloud accounting, about the 5 ways cloud accounting software can benefit your business. We'll talk about how Formations is using Xero, and we'll give you a quick introduction of Formations as well at the end. And as I said before, we're going to finish with a Q&A modules, with a Q&A section at the end of the webinar. We have great speakers today. We have Shahar, Plinner, founder and CEO of Formations. We have Tam Nguyen, partner consultant at Xero, and Aaron Meyer, head of customer success at Formations. Tam is a Seattle native who has a background in property accounting for commercial office buildings in the greater Seattle area. She's been in the accounting industry for 10 years. As a partner consultant at Xero, she assists accounting firms in harnessing the power of the cloud, as well as provide guidance on best practices and workflows that will help accountants and their clients become more profitable. Aaron has worked as an accountant for over 10 years and has certified on numerous fintech platforms. He has specialized in maximizing efficiency through leveraging cloud-based apps while maintaining compliance to regulations for city, state, and federal agencies. In his free time, he enjoys playing guitar and yelling at the TV. Shahar is a tax and accounting expert with over 15 years of experience in the field. He has managed thousands of clients, tax returns, business structures, and S Corps, and before he founded Formations, he built a successful tax and accounting practice in Seattle, serving over 3,500 customers. Thank you guys for joining us today. I appreciate your time. You'll have, I know you have a lot to say, so we will get to it really shortly. But before we start, I want to start with a short poll to get to know the audience a little bit better. I'm going to launch the poll right now. You should see it coming on your screen right now. There are only 4 questions. I'm going to give you about a minute to answer them. And then we're going to share the results so we can tailor the content better to the people in the webinar. We're going to wait a few more seconds for the last people to answer the survey, and then we're going to share the results. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and then share the results right now. So we have mostly sole props in the audience today and some S Corps, some distribution of employees, mostly no employees, and even somewhat even distribution on business income. Some people are using QuickBooks Desktop. Some are using a different accounting software, and some are not using an accounting software at all. So quite the diverse audience today. So I'm going to close this right now, unless Shahar or Tam, do you want me to keep it on for a minute or two?
No, I think I got what I need. So
okay, perfect. So I'm going to stop sharing this right now. I'm also going to stop talking and hand it over to you, Shahar.
Perfect. Thank you, Uri. Appreciate your introduction. It's great. Wednesday, 11. Every Wednesday at 11, we're here to share information about how self-employed can run better, their back office and their finance, and why thinking about tax and accounting is such an element that can save so much time and money. And I like the poll because the polls actually show us that the audience today barely use cloud accounting as software. Those that are using accounting software using the desktop version. And I'm super stoked to have Tam today with us. So Tam, welcome to the Formations webinar. Great to have you with us this Wednesday, beautiful sunny Wednesday in Seattle.
Yeah, love it. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here as a guest speaker working with you all. If you all don't know Formations already, they are one of the most technologically advanced firms I've had the pleasure to work with. And they definitely make my job a little bit harder by asking you very tough questions about what we can do as a software provider. So great to be here. Very excited.
So we love to host our partners, and Xero being a partner for Formations as a trusted partner, and Tam been amazing to us, allowing so much flexibility with Formations and Xero. So again, appreciate having you with us. I think that the main discussion today will be one, how we can convince you, or how we can share a little bit more confidence that cloud accounting and cloud computing in general, in 2020, it's a safe platform to use. It's the obvious decision to go. It's the number one decision to go to before any desktop version. The fact that it's safe, it's secure, it's so agile. It allows you basically to get, into your financials from anywhere, and we know that the world of the workforce is changing as we speak at the moment with COVID. So working from anywhere allow us basically to be flexible and just to pursue our dreams. And the second thing that we want to share, it's kind of to emphasize the statistics that self-employed are left behind, because self-employed are left behind in accounting because you guys have not signed up in your job description to be bookkeepers, and you're not signed up to do the taxes and accounting. You're here to sell real estate, to be freelance of marketing and technology, and do so many great things. I'm a huge support of the self-employed industry. I'm one of the self-employed people, and this is my segment. I appreciate what each and one of you are doing, but the main reason for this conversation is just to show you these statistics in your face and tell you are part of the statistic. You are part of this wrong tax structure. You leave money on the table. You still use the wrong, methodologies to run your back office. And this is a discussion today to make a change, to make a movement, to start taking care of your own financials. Taking care of your own financials means that basically you keep more money in your pocket. This is the main discussion for formations, how we can keep more money in your pocket. And, you know, Xero is probably the number one thing that will allow you to save, you know, money, because they have such a cool features of how to manage your books and with kind of hands-on. So Tam, get us a little bit more into Xero and what Xero is doing. And who is Xero, by the way, you know, for our audience?
That's a great question. Many of you may have never even heard of Xero in the first place. So we are a cloud accounting software, similar to other ones that you may know about or have used in the past. But we're a cloud accounting software that actually originates from New Zealand, created in 2008 by a small business owner and his accountant, because they realized that there was a need for an accounting system that would allow for both parties to collaborate more effectively with one another. So they agreed that accounting software was hard to use because it was filled with accounting jargon, and the interface was hard to navigate. So the founders sought out to remove these problems. That's how Xero got its start in the first place. So Xero has only been in the US for about 10 years or so. So that's maybe the reason why you haven't heard of us. However, it is quickly becoming more popular. And my job is to help Xero partner with companies like Formations to expose more small businesses to an alternative cloud accounting solution that not only functions well, but it's simple and easy to use for you as a small business owner. So Xero has been named by the IDC, so that's International Data Corporation, as the leader in cloud accounting software. And we also have currently just reached over 2 million subscribers on the Xero platform. We're very well known in Australia and the UK, but just to give you a reference point, we just only had about 500,000 subscribers about 5 years ago. So we're growing very rapidly. And in the past, I worked at companies that I did accounting for very, very traditionally, paper, through email and Excel. We were utilizing desktop solutions where processes were very manual and very time consuming. So I started and operated my own bookkeeping business, built entirely in the cloud, to see how efficient I could make the accounting process. And that's how I stumbled upon Xero for myself. So I've learned a lot on this journey, and I would love to share with you all my insights as well.
Amazing. So I think that one of the key important component is just to maybe share with people just what it means, the cloud. You know, sometimes it's just this, everybody hearing about the cloud, we're moving to the cloud, what a cloud means, like in a very simple, you know, if you need like to reference to me as a small business owner, what it means, cloud.
Yeah, if you're already think about if you're already using online banking or internet banking, every time you access the data online, you're actually utilizing the cloud. So cloud is really a platform that makes data and software accessible from online, anytime and anywhere, from any device. So this means that your hard drive is no longer the central hub; it's now all living in the cloud. I don't know if you had anything else to add to that, Shahar.
Yeah, no, I'm saying so for our audience, again, when I log into my Facebook app, Facebook is in the cloud. When I'm using my email and I'm using Office 365 by Microsoft, this is hosted by the cloud. It means that I don't have any physical assets, you know, in my laptop or servers sitting in my office or in my home office. It's just hosted somewhere where you can access via the web browser. Amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that the next question for me or for you is, we are kind of fighting, you know, informations in a way, the status quo. We are big advocate as an insiders. Yeah, as Uri mentioned, you know, I'm running an accounting firm and taxes for the last 15 years. I know the industry ins and out. The accounting industry is pretty old-fashioned, you know. What's wrong with our accounting system at the moment?
Yeah, there's so many changes happening in the accounting industry now, and you know, I kind of think of when I first started working. I think my very first job in high school was at Blockbuster. So you see, you know, the technology advancements from, you know, Blockbuster to Redbox, then to Netflix. You know, you have to kind of keep up with these advancements if you're going to be a major player in your industry. So within the accounting industry itself, Some of the major issues are, the data in the system isn't up to date, neither is the software. So information isn't feeding directly into your accounting system in real time. You have to find time to enter the data yourself. Oftentimes you're busy, you can't do it. And then if you had a question for your accountant or your bookkeeper, it's hard to get a timely answer for them because your accountant doesn't actually have access to your accounting file. It's hosted on a desktop solution. So that's one of the problems with traditional accounting software. Other things is that, maybe your accounting software only works on one computer. Data bounces from place to place. For example, if you're loading things onto a USB drive, it's not very secure or reliable, especially if you were to lose that, God forbid. One person only has access. So if you purchase one license, it may be too expensive to purchase multiple licenses so that you can have multiple users in the system. Key people in your business can't access the financial data and customer details. And if that's the case, you may already be sharing login details with employees within your company, which doesn't make it very secure.
Yep. I think that one of the big differences or how I like to approach it is that when you basically working on your desktop, it's kind of on your own. You're by yourself. Like it's you and your ability to make it happen. While the cloud, the fact that you can collaborate and invite in such an easy way professionals, again, your accountant, like a bookkeeper, technical support, it just makes this ecosystem way more friendly. It sounds like in cloud, you're never alone.
Exactly. And then with Xero, we have the ability to give unlimited users access to the same file. So everyone can be there at once. Everyone can be making changes. Everyone sees the most up-to-date and information about your company. So that makes it easier for you to make business decisions about your company in a timely manner. And the other thing too, it's expensive. Sometimes desktop softwares like to release new versions of their software when then they stop updating the older ones and they push you to have to purchase those new softwares. With cloud accounting software, you have the updates automatically pushed to the subscription that you purchase. There's no need for a new version to buy. So just something else to note there.
It's funny. I have a story that, I have 3 kids and my kids all over my phone and sometimes my computer. And I can tell you how lucky I am by have a backup in the cloud for most of my stuff, because how many times I've been locked out my computer and my iPhone or whatever, just because someone was messing up with my passcode. Again, and this is just, kids in the house. We're not talking about the fact that if your computer is getting stolen or someone just, basically, your hard drive crash. So cloud just allow, I think, better accessibility. And I think that cloud accounting, I like to use the phrase cloud accounting and cloud computing is kind of the perfect match. 2020, there's so much innovation. Why, yes, cloud accounting.
Yeah, that's a really good point to make. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't have to be a fire or some kind of disaster or someone steals your computer. Just people within the house may have accidentally get in there and change some things around. And then you're left wondering what happened. So good point there, Shahar. So cloud and accounting, why they are the perfect match and kind of why we're headed here now in this industry. So again, we mentioned that it's cloud-based. You're able to access it from any device, anywhere, which gives you the flexibility to work wherever you want. Some things that you may have never imagined to be possible before. So online accounting means, small business owners can stay connected to their data and to their accountants. So you have better access to your advisors and again, in a timely manner. Maybe you have to apply for a small business loan and you need to have the financials completed for that process, that application. In the past, that may take weeks to complete and you're kind of left waiting for that application to go through and you may need the money right away. So now with these technological advancements, that period of time that you're waiting shrinks immensely. And this is really important for when you're running your business.
Yep. And I think I want also to refer the same question kind of to Aaron. Aaron's been with us for many years running kind of plenty of happy accounting accounts, clients with us. And he is kind of, the one that use it from the professional, manner. This is kind of why self-employed would use it. Aaron, what's the magic for you as an accountant? How kind of, cloud accounting makes your life easier?
Yeah, so it basically is the engine that kind of drives all of the work, because with the increased connectivity in the cloud between the software and like the bank software at the same time, it's populating data for us to process on a constant day-by-day basis. So always we're going to have as up-to-date information available to us as possible. Then when we get that data in, obviously we're taking the rules engines that are in there and applying those to the data so that we can categorize things quicker. So when we use it at an enterprise level, we're really leveraging all the automated procedures that exist in there to make everything as efficient as possible, so that we just can press a button basically and get you those financials that you need right away.
And what I hear is it's before it sounds like that bookkeeping, it's kind of it's a task, it's something that you need to expense, it's something that it's a come as part of the work duties. Once you run a business, you need to maintain your books, and it's funny for us, it's that with Xero, this task almost disappear, because what you call the hygiene level, the connectivity to the banks and the connectivity to the credit cards, and the idea that a software, an AI, or some machine learning, someone that understands your behavior, can categorize those expenses better than you. In our world, we say that hygiene, level number one, already been solved. Check the box. There's nothing, need to be done over there. There's maybe some tweaks which actually can save time for, professionals like you to spend more around insight and strategy. Can you speak a little bit more about kind of when you have set of hours to work on an account and the numbers come clean, what's the value for that?
So yeah, that's a great point, because over the course of my career, just like with Tam, I started out in very manual processes. The majority of the work time that I had on each client that we were authorized for, that the clients wanted to pay for, was linked to data entry. Essentially, it's getting the data from the bank into the books in the proper format. So we had very little time left over to service the client's insights, to actually look at the financials and say, hey, what story are these financial statements telling us for the business? What kind of trends are we seeing? What kind of mistakes are we seeing people make? What can we actually look at and say, we can make your business better? So with leveraging the cloud accounting, with all the connections and the automation, we now have far more time available to us to actually look in an analytical sense at clients' bookkeeping and financials and say, hey, we think that you're actually able to leverage this over here, like additional payroll or 401k, because we're seeing your books in real time and saying we can take action now on things that we're seeing, rather than having to wait for the close of day or the close of the month and then furnishing a report that may or may not be timely.
Yep. And I think we'll touch a little bit more later about kind of why clean and accurate financials, timely, make sense. It's going back also, to the first slide, how we can help self-employed kind of not to be behind, but to be on top of the financials. But I think, Tam, the question that I hear the most about, it's great, it makes my life easier, it's end off, I don't need to touch it, it's just allow my system just to know even more about me, about my financials, and give me this strategy and help me to move money really efficient. But it's cloud-based, and where is my data? And security. How do we address the security questions? The people kind of fear for their information being maybe exposed, or how do we deal with security, in exchange for this flexibility?
Yeah, I think that's obviously, as a small business owner, you may be concerned that a cloud service provider is not storing your data securely, but all the servers are held offsite. There's hardly any downtime. I think in the last 5 years I've known with Xero, we've had, I don't think that we've actually had any downtime at all.
I don't recall any myself, Tim. Yeah, I've never seen it go down.
Yeah, so it's amazing. I just had Comcast go down on me yesterday. I lost internet for the entire day. I couldn't do any work. But when you have something like that with Xero, you don't have to worry about the downtime. You don't have to worry about, lagging and keeping your financials up to date. Honestly, the cloud is one of the most secure ways you can actually store your information. For example, we talked about your laptop being stolen, your computer being hacked into. No one can access your data unless they have the login to your online account. And you can also further secure your account by creating a two-factor authentication. So a code that refreshes every 30 seconds, that's also required at the time you log into your account. In the event of a natural disaster or fire, being in the cloud means your business productivity doesn't need to stop. There's no downtime. We talked about that. If you invite users to view your data, you can also control the level of access that they're able to see and the level of kind of permissions that they're able to have in actually editing the data or not. Maybe you have a user you only want to invite in to create invoices and send them out for you. You don't want them to see all your financials. You don't want them to be able to edit anything. That's kind of a bonus of being in the cloud and having those permission and security permissions. But it also allows you and it gives you the freedom to run your business the way you want it to. We talked about anytime, anywhere. You can work from home, you can work on the road. If you're, a traveling nomad, you don't have to be tethered to one location. So that dream that Shahar was talking about earlier, you can achieve that with cloud solutions. Yep. Any thoughts there, guys?
Yeah, I think that, again, when I hear at least, all of these scary stories around breach of security, usually it's funny because it's the traditional way of business. It's someone stole, your credit card when you gave the number to your, pizza delivery, or someone access like a major, retail store, but the perception around the security is same with taxes. If I'll move to an S corporation, I'll get audited. If I'll claim more expenses because it's legit expenses, the IRS will come after me. There's kind of this old-fashioned. How do you address, like in day-to-day, when there's some questions around, security? What do you hear about it, and what's usually the comments about the security level that Xero is taking those days?
Yeah, we're actually hosted on, Amazon Web Services, so I think it's a very secure place to be. Questions that I hear about it all the time, I just hear that people are just very afraid of it. I think it's just because that it's an unknown. It's an unknown factor. You've never kind of utilized it, don't really know how it works, and I think the more we talk about, how beneficial it really is and how much more secure it is to be able to see who's accessing the software, to see who's making changes in there. The technologies that we have now in Xero allow you to just have so much more control over your data and your financial data. Does that answer the question, Shahar?
Yeah, and I know your operation internally, and we kind of monitoring closely, Xero as a company. We're very proud about your operation, and I know that you guys are basically investing millions of dollars, always to be in front of the technology, but also how to keep all of these, data secure, which actually leading me kind of to the next topic, which again, we at Formation decided that Xero is our partners. Walk us through kind of, the 5 nuggets, the things that everybody need to be aware of, why cloud accounting or why cloud software should benefit someone's business. And again, I'm a big fan. I don't think there is any way else to do business today. In my opinion, this is the default. This is just a way to start where people basically start thinking about why, cloud accounting.
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, you have a clear overview of your current financial position in real time. In the past, in the way that we used to do accounting, you would receive all the data after the fact. By then it's too late to actually make any business decisions because things have already happened. You're already at the end of the year. You're already going to have to pay a certain number of taxes. If you keep things up to date, you're able to see real quickly where you can maybe strategize on your tax payments. And make sure that if you ever hit a different tax bracket, you can, work with formations to get you to pay the least amount of taxes possible. Or even just, keeping your information, you hire a bookkeeper and you can keep that information clean in the system, means that at the end of the year, you don't have to pay an expensive tax accountant to go through and clean that information for you. Number two, multi-user access. We touched on this before as well. So it's easy to collaborate online with not only your advisors, but also your team members, your employees. Everyone can access the same information at the same time and see the most up-to-date information. You can also control who has access. Automatic updates. So it means you can spend more time doing what you enjoy doing in your business. You don't have to purchase additional licenses and upgrade your software. Everything's automatically updated for you once you purchase the subscription with Xero. Automatic backups. You don't have to worry about paying, hosted solution or managing a server, paying for expensive server costs, or even an IT person you could possibly be paying. Imagine the salary that you're paying that person when you're receiving automatic updates from Xero just through the regular subscription. And then reduce costs. Again, I mentioned version upgrades, maintenance system administration, and costs. Server failures are no longer your worry. It's something that we handle on our end.
Yep. And I think that the last point, like the reduced cost, and then I'll refer the next question to Aaron, is kind of how Formations, is using Xero, just to give kind of very basic examples, but I think that the reduced cost is dramatically, people don't get it, how much time it saves both to the user, and the accountant, which again, time at the end of the day is money. It's translated on the business owner time that he's not investing on the business. This is where everybody needs to be most of the time, thinking about on your business, how to bring more client, how to make things more efficient. While working sometimes in the business is critical, but you just need to make sure that you allocate the right resources. And on the accounting, on the professional side, kind of, it's reduced dramatically the cost. It catch, expenses that otherwise been missed. It catch unnecessary expenses, which actually, give you more compliant and being more clean. But the fact that, and we'll speak a little bit in the next couple of slides about the real time, that we catch up some significant high income, low income, and we can make some decision. Aaron's, how actually Formations is using, Xero practically. Walk us through some
Yeah, of course.
Processes there.
Yeah, so we basically, with Xero's software and automation, we've set up sort of a digital conveyor belt to process everything. So Xero goes to a direct connection with your bank, and they work with thousands upon thousands of banking partners to make these connections secure and safe, just to kind of reiterate the point there. That pulls your transactions directly into our system. And then our automated rules processes, which is basically AI that goes in and looks at what the bank is telling them and categorizes based on that information. And then, of course, if we don't have information for it, we push those to you for input. And then on the other side, HubDoc, which is a Xero software as well, is connected to your bank account and pulling all the compliance documents that we need. That's like bank statements, check, deposit copies, all of that stuff that your accountant is going to ask for to verify all the entries. And then the accountant reviews everything that's happened real quick and makes sure that it's all going to the right spot. And then boom, voila, you've got financial statements that you can take in real time anywhere that somebody needs them. It's really, and to just talk about the time benefits of this is like, in my experience, 5 years ago, on average, even just a small business, an accountant would have to spend 5 to 10 hours a month at least, just on the data entry side of getting this information out to people. That's not counting the communication of going back and forth to find answers or to fix issues. Right now, most of our clients, we can get done in about an hour a month using all of these leveraged, automation. So it's a huge benefit in time, not just to us, but to anybody using the software.
Amazing. I think, again, we will share a little bit more about Formations in the next couple of slides. But for instance, our strategic decision, for instance, we're not servicing clients that are not using cloud-based accounting. Like this is the new way of doing business. Tam, kind of closing words from you and just give us kind of, what's maybe next for Xero. What's the cool features that Xero has in the pipeline? I know that a lot of your production is pretty kind of, undercover, but the things that will make our life and the audience kind of lives even more easier?
Sure, yeah, good question. I'll tell you what I can. Xero was, like I mentioned before, it was created by a small business owner and an accountant combined. So really, we just wanted to make it as easy as for you to be able to hop into the accounting software and just not be overwhelmed by all the kind of financial language that you may already be used to seeing. So that's something that's always kept in mind as Xero does more iterations of their product and their interface. So we want to make it as easy for you to navigate. There's an individual tab that you as the business owner would only need to go into. So it's one tab, that's it. You can find everything that you need under there, like invoices and bills. If you're doing any kind of inventory, it's all listed in one place. So that's just a note as of where Xero is currently at. Coming up in the pipeline, so we are doing some beta testing on a cash flow forecasting tool that'll be heavily based on the current invoice and billing module within Xero. That is going to be version number 1. So version number 2, I imagine, would include some other advanced technologies as well, but I'm not part of the product team and I'm not privy to information. So, just kind of, be aware that there's something that may be updated there. But also, Xero is also creating dashboards. So a dashboard will kind of display in a visual format, where you're sitting with your financials, potentially where you could, make some changes to save you some money. You have bar graphs and things like that. Just helps to get this nice snapshot view of where you're at with your financials in Xero. But largely, actually, the product team is actually going to be focusing on tools and advancements for advisors like formations to be able to do their jobs better and more efficiently, and ultimately helping you to reach those clean financials that you're looking for.
Perfect. Yeah, we love Xero, and I can guarantee you that Xero is here to stay, and we are as excited as geek accountants, looking forward for the next features and release by Xero, and again, and just to provide this excellent financial transparency and information, as you mentioned. Again, this is what we believe in. We believe in that for self-employed, there's no really tons of choices. If we try to go back, for at least my journey of taxes for the last 15 years, I can find a path, about or some connections about this happy path, about the most successful business owners to how do they run, their financials. There is a good correlation between this perfect profile. How do you structure your back office to how you perform in the front of the business? And successful business owners already realize that being an S corporation and connect your books to accounting system. Before it was desktop, now moving to the cloud. Then do everything by automation. Allow your ecosystem, your dream team people, the one that advise you and help you to navigate your business decisions, to focus on these insights and strategy, and don't waste the time to decide, if this receipt need to go to meals entertainment, or basically your insurance is in life insurance or health insurance or business insurance. So I think there was an interesting quote by one of the tax court judge learned, that said many years ago that in the US there are 2 tax systems, one for the informed and one for the uninformed, and both are legal. And I think that what formation is pushing is to be informed, be educated, be on top of your financials. And it doesn't mean that you need to do that. You just need to make these smart decisions to interact with the right partners. And some of the partners are cloud-based automation to let your financials and back office go and just let someone else do it for you, which most of the time this someone else is a software. And I think that the best that you get out of the S corporation and the cloud accounting, and this is kind of the discussion that we hear about formations. Why now? Cloud accounting, why now? Because we are so depends on other industry to catch up and bring technology and innovation, like the IRS, like the state, like banking and credit card and lending and wire transfer and all of this, payment processing and the connectivity, how all of this very innovative technology amazed, me by allow these connections. And when you make these connections, and by the way, it's a one-time connection. That's it. You just need to invest one time in going to this leap, and come to the new era of 2020. You get all of this beautiful stuff. You get this personal protection asset because of the S Corporation. You get the tax savings. You get the additional credibility because you basically, use software that are already proven by 2 million users. Or again, we're using Gusto for payroll as well. Again, there is millions of people that are using all of this software. If they're using all of these amazing tools, you should use it too. And you just need to believe that by reducing all of this risk, both for audit and the breach of security, you get such an amazing benefit. And this is kind of what Formations is all about. It's to take your journey from this sole prop, inefficient, single-member LLC structure and just push it to the next level, convert you into an S Corporation. S Corporation is such an enabler, allow you basically to work literally on your business, not in your business. Also allow you to be an employee of your business because it's fun, also to be your employee of your own business. This is where you can get all of this cool Fortune 500 benefit, group health insurance and 401k, HSA, FSA, all of these amazing tax-free and tax-deferred benefit. But most of it, you basically get the tax savings. We estimate that the move from a sole prop, single member LLC into the S Corporation structure can save, about $10,000 to $12,000 every year in tax savings. And this is like just an example based on a self-employed making $125,000 every year. It's real. You take the left column, where we show you like an example of a Schedule C, and then on the right column we show how do we convert it, into an S Corporation, and this is real numbers. This is $12,000 tax savings on $125,000 of income, which if you do the math, this is $1,000 a month, in your pocket. So going back, into how you make yourself an S Corporation, I think we want to spend a couple of minutes just to review how simple is this step by step. So we already know that Xero is kind of is the function for number 3, but just before we go into number 3, when we connect all of your accounts, the incorporation process of opening an S Corporation, pretty simple. Registration in the state where you reside, getting the article of incorporation, getting the EIN number by the IRS, and just do one simple form, 2553, that can be faxed to the IRS. Although, again, Aaron is showing me that the IRS fax due to the COVID is super busy, so you may need to mail it.
It's completely shut down at this point. Like, it literally will not allow me to fax anything. So yeah, it's mail or nothing right now.
So just put it in the mail and just hope for the IRS to open it, their mail in the next probably 10 years, just because, again, this shutdown also put a lot of backlog on the IRS. But this is not your problem. The second that you fill out the 2553 form and you mail it certified, and you get a certification that the mail is out of your mail post office. That's it. This is confirmed to be received by the IRS, and the S selection is formally done. So incorporation and S Corp, again, easy process, and Formation is doing it for you all. We open a separate business bank account so we can connect Xero into your business bank account so we can start collecting revenue, but also even more important is stop this co-mingling between business and personal. Business expenses should go into the business side and your personal expenses should go on the personal side. And then once we connect Xero into your accounts, this is the accounting brain, the cloud accounting solution. We start monitoring, your expenses. Payroll is a perfect example how you can save money on self-employment taxes. Formations will help you to define what is a reasonable wage, how much you should take to pay enough in Social Security, that you'll have enough what you call earned income, so you can set aside, for retirement and for be qualified for loan and mortgages. This is the W-2, the desirable W-2 that every self-employed kind of is looking for. Steady pay stub, paying taxes, enabling for benefits. And then the number one benefit is the distributions. You can take money off S Corp anytime, and this is what we call FICA free or self-employment tax free. Your distributions are not subject to this 15.3% self-employment tax, which actually reduce dramatically how much taxes you pay on an annual basis and increase your take-home money. I think that we can open up maybe, Uri, the discussion for questions.
Yeah, and I think
we cover a lot of topics, and I'm curious kind of to see if there's any questions for Tam or Aaron.
Yeah, I think maybe two questions as we go through some of the questions. The first one is, you mentioned at some point the engine rules and also the use of the engine rule. If you can speak more about what that means, how it helps with, for the self-employed at the end of the day, how does that help with, as we said at the beginning of the webinar, save more on taxes? Does that help with recognizing more expenses? Does that help with the efficiency of recognizing those expenses? How is that different than, paper receipts today?
Sure, you want me to field that one?
Yeah, and Aaron, maybe even I'll make even the question even more simple. So I'm a self-employed. I went to lunch with one of my prospect clients. I pull my credit card because I'm a very generous, person. I ran, a $50 meal. What happened?
Yeah, so with your credit card connected to the Xero account, we're going to see that transaction as soon as it posts from the bank side of things. The rules, which were, the bank rules that are in Xero, which is the automated system, is going to read that receipt and basically say, okay, I recognize this as a place where people go and get meals. And the way we've set it up in the system to automatically categorize it as a business meal, which tells not just the accounting system where to categorize it on the income statement, but also tells the tax system that this is a 50% deductible business meal. So on fully, we look at it and within seconds, we can categorize it and then also assess it for taxability, which usually we'd have to wait until the end of the month or until you send us the receipts before we can analyze it and put it in the appropriate place. But this is all happening in real time. It's, you see it as soon as it posts and then boom, it's in your system. So it really drives a lot of the efficiency and the accuracy of everything we do as accountants.
So basically, if I have, 50 to 100 transactions a month in my credit card, and it's kind of, my behavior, I repeat on myself, it's the gas, it's my continuous education, it's my Amazon account while I'm buying gifts to my clients. You're telling me that basically after, time, there's no human touch. Like every of the transaction will go into the right chart of accounts category.
Your behavior teaches the software what to do, essentially. So over the course of the first couple of months that we have a customer here at Formations, obviously it starts off a lot more infantile, where we're not really we don't really know exactly how to categorize some things. But over time, as we get more answers and we learn, where the normal places that you go to charge things and see your habits, the learning picks up. And then over time, you get less and less questions because we know how to categorize it before you do. Now, I'll put a caveat there. Like if we see something that we think we need more information on, we're going to flag it. The software will flag it. We'll put it in a special account, and then we'll reach out and say, okay, can we get more information on this so we can make sure it goes to the right place? So there is a review process, and we're making sure that things aren't flowing into the wrong spot. But again, over time, we need to do that a lot less because the machine learning takes over and actually sees what to do with it before we do.
But the beauty even about flagging those expenses, you flag it like live, which means you
Exactly.
flag it to me like in a week or 2 weeks, which still my memory is still there, and I don't need to think about where I was eating with who, in March of 2019.
Yep, every day we look at it. If we see a transaction that can't be categorized, we're reaching out to the customer and saying, hey, what was this, by the way? And then as soon as we know, we can not only change that transaction to put it where it needs to go, but update the rules engine as well in order to recognize it going forward.
Yeah. And by the way, I like also the fact that you guys are picking up expenses that are not business expenses. Call the client and say, hey, by the way, I see, the haircut for the kids, and next time try. And this is how we improve also the co-mingling.
I'll give a freebie to everybody who's still here on the webinar. Your dry cleaning is not deductible in the business. Number one thing I keep saying, it's not deductible.
Yeah, so when we talk about in general in business expense, we say, it's everything but, kids, pets, personal care, unless your kids are working for you. So,
which is a thing we can do with kids at a certain age.
Yeah. So this is a great example of interesting expense.
Shahar, maybe one or two more questions. The first question is directly related to formations. Do you need to have a separate Xero account if you are using formations? How does the formations Xero connection works? That's the first question.
Yeah.
Let's answer that and I'll give
So
you.
yeah, we basically, when you come onto formations, we open up a Xero account for the business through our firm account with them. And then the interaction with the Xero account is usually through a customer success manager. And down the line, we will also have a dashboard that kind of lays on top of it. So you can see your data and get information about your data directly. But you'll do most of your interaction through us at formations rather than through Xero at this point. The one exception might be there if you want to use Xero to issue invoices or bills or track your bills, in which case, yes, you'll have some limited access to Xero to do that.
Great. And maybe last question on this webinar, and then we can close with a quick recap. Is you talked about moving from S Corp from LLC to S Corp. Can you talk about the changes in accounting that might require? Does it change your systems? Does it change anything in the connection to cloud accounting in that sense, or do you continue on as before?
It does change a little bit the way things are accounted for. For instance, as a single member LLC, you're only really required to track a profit and loss or an income statement. So basically just looking at your income versus your expenses to get a bottom line. When you convert into an S corporation, and all of a sudden now you have a business entity with the IRS that needs to be reported on with its own tax return, then you're required to also keep a balance sheet, which is sort of a snapshot of all of your assets, liabilities, and equity in the company. So it does change the way things need to be accounted for in a real sense, because now you've created an entity that needs to have its own life essentially with the IRS. Whereas as a single member LLC, you're essentially still functioning as yourself, just with a business tacked on.
But also again, the idea is as long as you have a separate bank account for the business, if it's a single member LLC or an S corporation, the connectivity, into the Xero account is the same. So there is no need. What we push is basically because we want to keep, the books clean, and we want to keep the hygiene of the business in a high level, both for audit risk, but also because this is kind of what drive decisions about business, because then your real numbers. The separation and the co-mingling or the non-co-mingling is such a critical element that we push from day one. So again, open your S corporation will be, or incorporate will be the stage first phase, and then immediately after is the separation of the banking, and then connect everything to cloud accounting, so we can pull, a reasonable wage, file your taxes, manage your financials on a weekly and monthly basis. We have a special offer, Uri, today that we want to offer the first 5 people that will join formations. We will reconcile the first quarter of the month with no additional charge. So it's a great way to test, how Xero, is operating for you, the level of mature of the software. This is a great introduction to Xero informations.
Yeah, and at this point, I want to thank all of you for joining us. Those of you who stayed for that long, I want to thank Tam. Thank you so much for your time with us, and thank you for your partnership as well. Thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Shahar. We will follow up with an email with a recording and a deck. We will also send you a link to a blog post. Please fill out a survey with to provide some feedback on the webinar, so we can do this weekly webinar better for you. We have a lot more content on our blog, and if you want to talk to one of our experts, please schedule a call to learn more. As we mentioned at the beginning, we're here every Wednesday at 11. Our next webinar is going to be on the topic of how self-employed can save on taxes with S Corp. You can register on our website. Please join us next week. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.